you having a marvelous, super great, fantastic, superb, wonderful, stupendous, outrageous, terrific, unbelievable, even to the point of being eggishly, ectastically perfect? You know I am, because I'm a basket case. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a gentleman I worked with on in security, on mobile security. We used to drive around and go to alarms. And this gentleman, I used to joke around with that he would get lost going to his bathroom with a GPS because he was so bad. Yes, sirree, he was bad. Okay. I trained. He had 3 days of training. One of those days, I trained him. And after I trained him, I told my boss, no, this is not a gentleman to work on mobile and all that. He just, I don't know, he just wasn't, I didn't think he was the right fit. But no one listens to me. So he was hired in mobile, okay? And one day I was working with, he got lost. I've heard stories about him actually going to the wrong city for an alarm. Okay? Whatever. That's what his GPS told him to go, so that's where he went. Okay. I didn't know how true that is because I was not working at that point. But I heard stories. Everyone was making fun of him about how he was getting lost. But I do know one time I did work with him. Okay, I was a supervisor, and I had 2 other people working under me. He was one. Okay, and okay, in Toronto there are 3 major highways. Okay, the 400. The 401 and the 404. Okay, well, we were working in York region, so the 401 doesn't really count for us, but the 400 and 404 do. Okay, and I was at a place which takes about 20 minutes to do the security check there. Okay, I basically started when this came in, which we had to go. It was along the 400, okay, and we had to do something there, okay. We had 30 minutes to get there, okay. So I called him and told him to go. He was not doing anything. He says, and I told him because it's on a major highway. It was a bit. The GPS had trouble with it because I had just gone there for. More or less the same reason the day before. He said, no, I have a better GPS than you, much upgraded. Okay, he's not listening to me. Whatever. Okay. So I gave him the address. He punched the GPS. Okay. I'm finishing up this here. I'm 15 minutes later. I'm still there. Still working away. He told him that he actually called the people there, so they knew he was coming, so I couldn't go there. Well, we could have changed it technically. I think we should have. He asked me if I was going the right way. Okay. Technically, it was west and north of him. He was heading east and south. Okay, he went east and then started heading south on the 404. Okay, totally opposite direction. He was heading towards Toronto. This was north of Toronto. Okay, and I was like, oh my God. Okay, basically from where you are, the fastest way, hit the 401, across 401 to 400, head north. You can't miss it. He was so scared of missing it that he wouldn't get off the phone. I was basically it took him like an hour to get there. Okay, that was just ridiculous. He was half an hour late for it. There was no reason why he should have been. It should have only taken him 10-15 minutes to get there, but no, he had gone the wrong way. He had followed his GPS. Okay, and he was naming off all these streets and intersections and all this, which I knew most of them, I'll grant you. But you know what? You're too far away. It took him half an hour from where he is, and he wouldn't get off the phone. I told him, when you get closer, when you get to this spot, you know, call me and I will walk. I was his GPS. It was pitiful. Anyway, this was, we didn't make, the company did not get paid for that job because we were so late. Because of this guy. And this guy had no sense of time either and all that. Okay? I was a supervisor and he refused jobs for me. He had 2 hours before he finished his shift. And the way it worked out, I had another hour before I finished my shift. He was closer and I was further away. But he refused to work it because it might interfere with what time he would get off work. What? I'll grant you it was close to rush hour. This was like very early in the morning. This one was very early in the morning. The other one was in the afternoon. This is early in the morning. He got off at 7. I got off at 6 a.m. And this was 5. And this was an alarm. It's like he wouldn't go because of it. And I'm arguing with him for 5 minutes about this. And I just gave up and hung up on him. I was so pissed off. I went and did it. And after I finished, and I got back to work at 6:30. Okay? He was closer than me. So that he could have done it and still gotten back to work before 6:30. And he finished at 7. Afterwards he tells me, well, why didn't you let me do it? I could, you know, I could. I was just telling you what I didn't want to do. Because I didn't want to be late. He's like, you were arguing with me, your supervisor, for 5 minutes over this alarm. We didn't have time. We have a certain time limit for these alarms, and you were refusing to go. I don't know why they kept this guy on at all. Okay. He was constantly late because he couldn't follow his GPS. He was going to wrong places and wrong cities. I don't know how he was even using the GPS. He refused to work. You know, once it got 2 hours before his shift ends, he basically didn't want to work because he might work overtime. I was a supervisor. I was making more money than him. So it had nothing to do with that. It had to do with he just didn't want to work 1 minute over overtime. God. He was a pathetic worker. And he was always wondering why he didn't get promoted to supervisor. You have to be a company man to get that. You have to actually do that little bit extra for the company. Whatever. Anyway, he was one of the reasons why I quit that company and started making egg deliveries. Didn't have to deal with idiots. Okay. Thanks. Bye.